Hey everybody out there, you're tuned in to 91.8 The Fan. You're in my corner and I have a very special guest in the corner and I know you guys have been begging and pleading for him. So would you like to unveil your identity to all the listeners out there?
My mom always called me special. Hi guys, this is Steve Blum.
Oh, well now I'm... Well, no, that makes it fun. That makes it fun. People might have thought you were somebody else at first, and then the reality was shattered.
Many people do, anyway. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Excellent. Very excited to be on the radio. Look at me.
You're famous. Look at that.
Oh, my God. They said it wouldn't be possible.
Now, obviously, I usually ask some pretty standard questions, but I'm afraid that for once, I'm going to shake it up.
Uh-oh.
Shake it up and have a party here. I'm going to get right to the hard-hitting questions, so be prepared.
Okay.
But you were a part of a huge anime boom in the 90s. Now, how did you kind of see that sort of evolve? Because it kind of came out of nowhere for a lot of people.
Oh, the whole job came out of nowhere for me. It was crazy that when I began back, I guess it was early 90s, I don't even remember now, I didn't even know what it was I was working on. They were calling it Japanimation back then. And I was just doing it for fun on the weekends. A friend of mine cast me to do some creature roles, and I was just doing it for a few extra bucks and some fun on the weekends, free food. I was starving, not even an actor at that time, as a musician. And had no idea what the industry even was or if there was one. And it wasn't until years later that I realized I was part of something that was actually becoming a pretty big wave across the nation. And shows like Cowboy Bebop ended up kind of changing my life. But I don't think any of us expected it to become this big. That was the goal, I suppose, but I don't think I really expected it.
Well, I think that's the good thing, too, because for a lot of fans out there, you know, that's what got them into anime, or it kind of opened the door for other cultures. So I think it was a cool experience, not just for the people involved with production, but the people watching at home.
Right. Yeah, I've heard that a lot, actually. There's a lot of otaku refused to dub anime before the show came along. And in fact, the very first convention I went to, I had things thrown at me and death threats, and it was pretty scary back then.
Ooh, that sounds scary.
It's lighter now. I had conventions for about 10 years because of that. Because I thought, uh-oh, what did I get myself into here? But the fans have grown up, too, the industry, and people be more accepting. And it's decent.
Yeah, I think like all things, you know, all industries, all sorts of media, they grow and they mature and they get their chance to be, you know, real art and all that. And a lot of us started out as kind of 10 years old and, you know, watching Dragon Ball Z. So not the most mature people out there.
Yeah, well, I'm a lot older than you are, and I'm still very, very mature, which gives me job security, I think.
Well, if it makes you feel better, you're about, like, I think 15 years younger than my mom, so.
Oh, that's nice. Good. Baby now.
But I'm 20. I'm not too much of a baby. Yeah, I'm a baby. Anyway.
I have underwear older than you, honey.
Now, the anime boom isn't the only boom that you've been a part of. This is something we've noticed a big trend with recently, but in California especially, there's been a big boom with video games. Have you noticed that too?
Yes, I have. Yeah, I've been really lucky. I guess I got in kind of on the ground floor of the days when voices were becoming important in video games. And didn't realize that either. I've been so on the fringes of the industry, and I really haven't been interested in being a star or the evolution of the entertainment business at all. I've just been kind of going and doing my job, and everything comes as a surprise to me. So finding out years later that I was part of that boom is kind of a cool thing to realize. So.
And definitely the technology has evolved too, especially in video games. I mean, now you guys have Pro Tools, but you also have motion capture, and that must kind of be a little bit different than the padded room you're used to being stuck in.
Yeah, well, for the most part, they still stick us in a padded room, no matter what. But and most of the actors involved, I think, are really excited about motion capture because it is like doing You really have to memorize the lines. There's blocking. There's a lot of movement, which is something I'm trained in at all. It's something that I'm actually very into. And I've done a capture shows, but probably where I'm far in my box. And I seem to be the only guy in the room that isn't enjoying it most of the time. I like the getting the gear on and going through all the technical aspect of it, but the actual memorizing lines, I guess I'm just lazy in my old age. I don't want to do it.
Well, I can understand that. I never want to memorize, what I ate yesterday. If it was like writing it down for a diet, that's too much work. Why would I
Yeah, it
want to
really
do that?
is. Got other stuff I need to be concentrating on.
But at the same time, that is more of an instance where you get to interact with people, because a lot of times in voice acting, you guys are just by yourself in a room.
That's true. That is true. But that was what I was trained on. I mean, my very first jobs were in anime, and so that's the world I'm really used to being in. I'm used to being just stuck in there by myself with the director on the other side of the glass. Only in probably the last 6 years, really a lot of digital animation where we are working with casts. And as fun as that is, it's no more natural for me to create a character with the cast than it is without, unless something specifically requires the interaction with the other actors. But I'm kind of used to making up all that stuff.
Well, I think that also shows your experience as well.
I'm cut out.
Oh, I'm sorry. I think that also shows your experience as well.
Yeah, I mean, I've been doing it for a really long time, so I'm pretty good at imagining a monster coming at me at 500 miles an hour. That's what I do every day. It's been an hour more, really.
Well, talking about monsters and brute screamings and reaction sounds, I'm kind of curious because you've been in the industry for so long. Do you still ever have any roles that are really demanding where, your throat's like, oh, God, please, I need a cough drop?
Oh, yeah. I actually had to out on a couple in the last site on a video game franchise about a week and a half ago, and I was scheduled for a 4-hour session, and 2 hours in, I just said, guys, I'm done. Because I've got to come in tomorrow. And I really blew my throat out for a week, and there's really nothing you can do when you're doing that kind of stuff. I have to do it full bore or not do it at all. And so I'd rather just stop the session and come back when I'm fresh. But yeah, that happened almost 3-4 times, I would say. And still with Wolverine, too. Every time I end up doing Wolverine for something, that's a very difficult, especially when it's fight mode or worker mode. There's just no easy way to come flying at it that shouldn't be.
And so I'm kind of curious, have you come up with any remedies maybe to help relieve your throat at all?
Yeah, I've got a whole regimen of things. I have these little throat drops from China called Golden Throat that I carry around all the time, and I pop them in. And they do save me. They can usually get me through a session so I can finish up. And I drink a lot of water and some peppermint tea, and they have this stuff called Entertainer's Secret. It's a throat spray. And all of it's great. All of that works as long as I'm not too blown out. But once I've really screamed too much, it's actually damage to the lungs and the whole sinus cavity, so it's not just the throat anymore.
Oh gosh, that sounds really scary, I'm not gonna lie.
It's pretty rough. I mean, I'm a really physical actor anyway, so when I finish one of those sessions where I'm really screaming a lot, my voice actually kind of affects the rest of my. Feel like I've been right, and there's a lot of recuperation time.
I can understand that, and now with the media that you're in, there's fans that are really passionate. Does it ever surprise you to be a part of a show that has such a large fan base?
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. I mean, it never to amaze me. I did a little stint Anime Expo a few weeks back for a show called Durarara, and it's something that I had just done recently, really worked much on the show. But the room was full. It was like 2,000 people that showed up to this thing, and they were screaming and yelling, and they knew every line we did. Unbelievable. And even now, that seemed to be going away, be getting bigger and bigger. So yeah, I'm always surprised. I never know what's going on. I do my little part and I go home, and to see it out in the world and to see people's responses at conventions and things is always shocking to me.
So you don't Google yourself and, try and see what everybody's saying?
Well, I stay off the boards for the most part. I do Google things just so I can see what it was that I worked on, because half the time I'm signing non-disclosure agreements and I'm not even told what the name of the show is or my character's name sometimes. And I certainly don't see what the final animation looks like, and unless it's anime where I'm actually working to a picture. So I'll go on Google frequently just to see footage from video games. I'm not a gamer, so I'll be looking at things from Transformers and Batman games and some of the Star Wars stuff that I'd worked on, just to see how my character ended up looking, because often I don't even I have no idea how characters even look like.
Well, games are a big investment too. When you play a game, it could be anywhere from 10 hours to 80.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And since I'm not a gamer, even if I was, I wouldn't be that. My characters end up being, and I'll never could make it to my level. So I have to have people either play me there or check it out on YouTube.
Which is understandable. Have you ever been to a convention and had people come up and sort of cosplay and been amazed that they would be dressed up in intricate outfits of characters you voiced?
Yeah, that's really fun. In fact, I'm starting to amass a collection of pictures of the cosplayers, and yeah, it's really fun, and it's I think even creepier for my family to see that, because they really have not experienced much of my career at all. And when I take them to some of the conventions and they see people dressed up in my characters, they kind of freak out too, especially when I get glomped by somebody dressed like me. But they may be 300 or 400 pounds, and glomping me from a distance, it can be a little frightening.
That's true. I mean, you don't want to necessarily be football tackled everywhere you go.
Yeah, sometimes it's fun, but not all the time.
Yeah.
What I mean.
That's a lesson for the listeners out there. Ask for a hug beforehand. Just saying. Well, we go to conventions as guests sometime, and we have a panel like how to talk to voice actors, and one of our basic rules is ask beforehand before you pull and prod on them. They're not Mickey Mouse mascots.
That's true. Most people are very kind and they're very polite. I'm finding as the years go by, people get more and more used to how to behave, and some the excitement is overwhelming. Places like, I was just at Comic-Con, and just the overstimulation walking around there from all the sounds, so they go out of their mind, and sometimes they just themselves and get lost. And I do too, to some degree, because I'm a fan like everybody else, just not quite as obsessive. But I go there. I like to go there, so I do get it.
Well, I think everyone has that one person where they see them and they're like, and they get all excited and the butterflies, and they can't help but shake or get overly insane, perhaps.
Yeah, I think I squealed like a little girl when I met Stan Lee, so.
I'm jealous.
Yeah, I don't know if it was audible, but yeah, and Frank too. Those guys are the ones that be like that.
And do you have any conventions coming up where fans can stalk you in real life in a nice way?
I do. I've actually got one coming up in New Orleans in a couple of weeks. Let me see if I can give you an exact date on that. I have that on my calendar here, if I can bring that up.
Oh, good food.
Yes, I am going there for the weekend of August 26th, and it's called MechaCon, and I'll be there 26th, 27th, and 28th. And then I think my next one isn't until October. I'm going to be going to Australia. I'll be in Melbourne, Australia. I believe that is on the 22nd of October. And then in New Zealand on the 29th for Armageddon.
Wow, you get to travel a lot. That's going to be fun.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. That's the greatest byproduct of this, is I do get to the world now. Anime pays. Basically, I couldn't even survive if I only worked in anime, but they've sent me all over the world, and I get fans from everywhere. It's pretty.
Well, naturally, I hear that a lot. A lot of voice actors who started in anime, they have their day jobs, and now people are finding more money in video games or regular animation. So hopefully one day they pay you guys more in anime. I hear the rates aren't that great.
Yeah, I'm not expecting they ever will improve, but I never really did it for the money anyway. I've always done it for the love of it, and it's a great community of people working in anime, also from the production side all the way to the fan side. It's a very tight-knit, almost family type of community. And, we all prefer each other for other jobs. It's not like the normal on-camera community where people are killing each other for work. So I'm still really excited to be part of it, and I'll do anime till the day I die as long as I'm able to.
Well, that's the most important thing, doing something you love.
Yeah, and I love the fans too. I mean, they did scare me at first, but I'm one of them. So.
Well, I think as we've said several times during this interview, they've matured a little bit.
They certainly have. Yes, they have.
Now, is there any place on the internet where they can, check up on what you're doing or any other projects or conventions you might have coming up?
Yeah, well, I started on this called Facebook. I've been here. I have some on Facebook and Twitter. And Twitter, I named myself at Blum View. It's BMSP. And then I have a website, which is stevebloomvoices.com. You can always check. They always have updated things. And the usual IMDb, they can see the new stuff that's coming out, and usually they'll find out what I'm doing before I do.
Now, obviously, I know you're under a lot of NDAs, but are there any projects that you can pimp out that have come out recently or that you're working on?
Well, Transformers Prime is ongoing. We got picked up for another season on Pub. That's a show I'm passionate about. I love Transformers, and just to be part of that whole franchise is pretty darn cool. So we just got picked up for another season of that. I'm playing Starscream on that show, and it doesn't get much better than that. And I've got 3 original animated series that I'm working on now, and I'm not allowed to talk about any of them. It's kind of breaking my heart, but as soon as I am, I will do a blast in all of the social media and on the website. So, and video games, I've got probably 15 or 16 projects that I'm not allowed to talk about yet. So there's a lot of really big stuff that I've been working on, and some really cool, interesting new roles. Some of the more recent stuff that was released was Shadows of the Damned. I guess that recently came out. Mm-hmm. Where I was playing Garcia Hotspur, one of the few Latin American type roles, right? And that was kind of the Guild Wars 2. They're threatening to release within the next 2 years, so who knows what's going to happen. I guess some recent stuff that also there's Transformers: Dark of the Moon video game, and what else? Wartron is getting kind of old. Star Wars I think that's out, and I'm in that one too. And a Captain America game, a ton of stuff.
Well, hopefully one day. I'm waiting for the day they do this, because I think at this point we've sort of proved, at least the fandom has proved, that voice actors are essential, and people will go buy stuff that a certain voice actor has done just because they're in it. And I'm hoping one day they'll announce like a cast beforehand and not let us wait until, 3 weeks after the game's out or whatever.
Yeah, that would be kind of nice. I mean, I'd really like to help the game along also by blasting it at conventions, and I'm very, very rarely allowed to do that.
Yeah, and it would be nice to be able to, give a hint, not like I'm not saying expose everything, because then you'll get in trouble, but like being able to give a hint to the fans at conventions and things like that.
Yeah, I'd love to, but they're pretty strict about these NDAs, so I don't want to violate that. And they do have their marketing plan, and I have to trust that they know what they're doing much better than I do. I'm just a voice monkey.
Well, I understand that, and we have to make all of our staff here sign NDAs too, so...
Oh.
Yeah, we don't want any personal information leaked or anything like that. Looking at some of the staff. Oh, did we get cut off?
No. I said, so you feel my pain.
Yes, there's a lot of times where fans will come to us and ask us, well, how does this work? Or how are you doing this? And it's like, I'm not allowed to tell you. Which is fine with me. It means I don't have to explain it, and they can just keep wondering.
That's true. It works really well for me, because I really don't know the technical side of. A lot of times I don't know the line I'm working on, and most things I haven't even seen. So it does help me to avoid having to explain those things. I can just refer them to people who can.
Definitely. And since we are sort of nearing the end of this interview time, I'm kind of curious if you'd be willing to participate in a 91.8 The Fan tradition.
Sure. I think. Should I be scared?
Well, it depends. Are you do you commonly do bloopers when you don't have a script?
Oh boy, do I ever! But usually they're very blue, and you broadcast them. I'm kind of known for leaving filthy little nuggets all over town in studios. So hopefully I can come up with something that you'll be able to use.
Well, we basically ask if everybody out there if they'd be willing to do a radio bump for us.
To do a radio, what was that?
A radio bump for us.
Oh, radio bump. Oh, sure.
We were basically wondering if you could say, hello, my name is, you put in your name, and what the next part is, what do I do? You can say, like, I do this, I do a character, I do voice acting, whatever you want to put there. You can just have fun with that part. That's improv for once, so that might be strange. And then the last part, and the most important part is, and you're tuned into 91.8 The Fan.
I'm writing this down.
That's okay. A lot of people do.
Tuned into
91.8
The Fan. Okay. Okay.
So whenever you're ready, we can do a take one.
Okay, let me just make a couple quick notes here.
I can't whistle.
I'll stunt whistle for you. I do that too. CB, just making a couple quick notes here. Almost done. It's in you, so right with you. Okay, here we go.
All right.
All right. Tell me when you're ready.
We're ready.
Yo, my name is Steve Blum, probably best known as Spike Spiegel from Cowboy Bebop, Leron from Gurren Lagann, Orochi from Naruto, Brain, Stop, etc., etc. Anyway, you're tuned into 91.8 The Fan. Don't the dial. I know where to you, Bob.
That was really good. I think the really big problem is on my side. We heard you cut off at the very end after you said you tuned into 91.8 The Fan.
Oh, no. Okay. Do you want me to just do that part or the whole thing again?
That would be great if you could just do that part.
Okay. And you're into 91.8 The Fan. Don't turn the dial. I know where to find you.
Oh, perfect. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome.
And that was a lot of fun. Was there anything else you'd like to tell the listeners out there?
Thank you guys for supporting what I do, because if it weren't for you, I would be unemployed.
That would be a bad thing, yes.
A very bad thing. Yeah, thank you. It's been a pleasure.
And for anybody out there that missed any of the interview, don't fret. You'll find it on the website within the next few days. So keep it tuned to 91.8 The Fan. Everything you want and nothing you don't.
See ya.